YouTube frogs, welcome back to another video. I want to go over my thoughts on the upcoming rerun banners and how valuable they may be for your roster, or if it's okay to skip for future characters like Ito and Goro, but not limited to them. Besides the default response of, quote, pick the character you like more, which is definitely what you should prioritize, it says nothing about gameplay differences and your roster. So, let's begin. Alright, so compositions, probably the most important factor to integrating a character into your roster. Albedo and Eula are in different fields here. Albedo slots in as a standalone sub-DPS and improves reaction damage with his A4 post-burst passive. Eula either wishes to be a greedy main DPS or be a rotational burst DPS whenever her burst is available. Before we jump in, Albedo and Eula are not as common to slot in for meta compositions that focus on, for example, vaporize or melt reactions which can achieve very high sustained DPS. So, consider your existing team comps and what you may be running now to help gauge possibilities for either of these two characters or future ones. Whether you are a meta player who focuses on best DPS output for low investment high abyss star clears, or off meta player who likes testing out different compositions or max investing in your favorite character and building around them, you can both glean the same relevant knowledge for your playstyle. So current team composition choices to maximize abyss star gain usually revolve around reverse vaporize, freeze, reverse melt, and electrocharged. And then we get to the less reaction-based compositions, which is physical, Xiao DPS, or Geo DPS. Those of you who are running two reaction-based compositions for your abyss sides may not value these rerun characters. If you do have Zhongli though, Albedo looks a little bit more enticing for their duo Geo combination. Those of you who are running just one may consider Eula to unlock a physical composition with AoE surrounding her burst uptime. Now let's dig a little bit deeper. Eula is a physical DPS carry, which means her composition layout is different than the usual Hydro, Pyro, Crow, and Nemo team building, which takes advantage of reactive damage and a Nemo to CC and shred resistances. A lot of her damage is rotational around her burst uptime, and as I'm sure my Eula mains know, sometimes when activating her burst, enemies often die from her normal attacks before it can pop, leading to suboptimal burst usage. Now, that being said, she can definitely carry her own weight whether it's Claymore smacking or burst annihilation. So a couple of things of large value for her. An Electro sub-DPS. Official C6 and Raiden are two of the most powerful choices for this slot. Superconduct and Eula's elemental skill mean that even 70% physical resist enemies have the resistance reduced by over 60% down to 10%. Superconduct provides 40%, and Eula's elemental skill at level 6 is 21% already. So those rune enemies that you guys fight all the time, rune guards, rune graders, rune sentinels, rune crabs, whatever the rune guys, don't need to worry about them. Their resistance is all shred as long as you have Superconduct. Now besides these two, we have Zhongli. If he's not being used in the infinite number of other compositions that benefit from him, then he can slot in here. His Jade Shield provides another layer of 20% physical resist shred, bringing the total with an Electro sub DPS and Superconduct to 80% resistance shred. Now enemies don't have this high of resistance to begin with, so this is usually extra. And if you guys don't know, any resistance shred beyond 0% gets halved. So rune enemies with this combo have negative 5%, which is the 70% first, and then the last 10% is halved. And then Fantuis, who begin with negative 20% physical resistance, reach minus 60% with a Zhongli plus Eula Superconduct combo. Now besides these very beneficial choices, keep in mind the other team compositions choices mentioned in the prep video before. This includes, for example, double Cryo, and also includes double Electro. Both of these compositions assist with her energy battery issues. Okay, so now for Albedo. In what situations does he bring a lot to the team? The most important and obvious one, having Zhongli on your existing roster increases his value the most out of any other character. This combination is a known Geo duo that gives the team they're on access to the double Geo resonance for shield strength, all damage increase, and Geo resistance decrease, and these units in particular provide shielding, crowd control, off-field sub-DPS, and elemental mastery transfer. Now they also assist each other with slight energy gain to maintain both of their low 40 cost bursts. So they're really easy to spam burst and make whichever team they're on a super comfortable maximum laziness playstyle. Now the other current Geo options besides Zhongli, which include Ningguang, GeoMC, and Noelle, they can satisfy this requirement but are not nearly as effective. Potentially, Goro can change things around in 2.3, since from the livestream we can see that he's a Geo defense buffer. Now, besides the Geo compositions, which is already pretty obvious for Albedo, what about just throwing him into an arbitrary composition that has an open slot? Now this is where things get interesting. He's not the most optimal DPS choice for any of these reaction-based situations, but he can basically fit anywhere needed and apply a solid per 2 seconds DPS with basically zero effort. Now for those aiming to make the most perfect compositions with no wasted rotations, Albedo won't fit your use case. But for those looking for a unit that has relatively low investment, enjoy his slap and swap playstyle, and looks good for the few seconds when he's on the field, then Albedo's your guy. Now furthermore, if you have the funds and are interested in the upcoming new Geo homies Ito and Goro, Albedo will continuously scale into those compositions. He definitely does his job well. It's up to you to decide if that job is valuable for you. Now just based on the compositions, you may already have a clear idea whether pulling for either one or skipping both of them entirely is best for you. Okay, so now on to weapons and artifacts real quick. So for Eula, this is super important because she's a main DPS, and there's a great 3-star option even if you're super new to the game. For Albedo as well, one of his best is also a 3-star weapon. So we can cover Albedo really quickly first. The Harbinger of Dawn and Festering Desire are the only weapons that are worth considering for his investment if you're pulling for him anew. Both of them do a very good job at maintaining his Isotoma damage, which is elemental skill defense-based portion. Now between these two weapons, Festering Desire sacrifices a little bit of that crit rate and crit damage for the energy recharge secondary stat, which is great for his burst rotation, which is more beneficial for reactive team comps that would use the elemental mastery transfer. Now, highly valuable weapons for Eula. 3-star Skyrider Greatsword makes building Eula really effective. It's a great weapon to start, and it's only really beaten by the 4-star Serpent Spine and our 5-star weapons. So onto that note, the Serpent Spine. It's a perfect weapon granting crit damage and additional damage bonus as long as you have a shield to maintain and not take damage, but it's obviously locked behind the Battle Pass $5. And the 5-star options. We have Song of Broken Pines, Wolf's Gravestone, Skyward Pride, and the Unforged. So the great thing about Eula is that she literally can use all of them, and they're really strong at what they do. The Unforged is great, especially if you're running a shield-based comp. It grants you a bunch of attack, and you're going to need all the crit rate and crit damage from your artifacts. Wolf's Gravestone is basically the same thing. It's just not shield-based, and also is proc-based off of the 30% HP and buffs the team. Broken Pines is her signature weapon. Absolutely perfect for her. And then don't overlook the Skyward Pride's value on her. So this whole weapon, from the energy recharge, all damage, to the elemental burst, normal and charge vacuum blade damage, synergizes very well with her kit because these scale off of physical damage. So if you have any of these weapons that I mentioned already invested in or with high refinement or plan on investing, along with my composition recommendations, that should be more than enough to make a decision. Weapons and units can't be farmed like artifacts can, so it's a lot more difficult to build around if you don't have some of these weapons or the team comps that are ready to build around. Alright, so final section on artifacts then. So this is more on resin usage and how much you're willing to sacrifice if you didn't prepare. For Albedo, very likely you're going to be farming the new 2.3 dungeon for the Husk set. If you're choosing to invest in him now, I think you're probably eyeing our boys Ito and Goro and making that mono Geo team. Not much explanation needed here other than good luck on your RNG. If you're still wanting to farm it right now, then try to grab maybe some Petra pieces, but that's about it. Eula, on the other hand, needs existing dungeons to maximize. So if you have Zhongli and you farm Tenacity for him, there's a high chance you have 2-piece Pale Flame lying around. If you have 4-piece decent Pale Flame, even better, but that's a lot harder to do. Now for the 2-piece Bloodstain portion, if you're only running 2-piece Pale Flame, this one's interesting. If you've been playing before Inazuma, your Noblesse farming probably net you some solid Bloodstain pieces. Otherwise, the Strong Box may actually be your best bet on getting some new pieces, while you continue to farm what is likely to be the Emblem Dungeon in Inazuma for basically all your offensive supports. Now this is an important reminder, by the way, that the Strong Box, even though it is RNG based, it does come in clutch to provide some useful last minute pieces for whatever characters use these sets, right? So if you want to invest in Eula, then you have access to a 2-piece Bloodstain or even a 2-piece Noblesse if you're running disperse-based build. Otherwise, beyond this, enjoy farming Bloodstain or Pale Flame pieces. Good luck on your RNG. Their counterpart artifacts in both of these dungeons are not that bad for support, so resin usage is pretty okay. And important reminder, at the end of the day, it's main stat and substats that matter first before the set bonus. The character still performs perfectly fine with perfect artifacts and 0 set bonus. The set bonus comes with time. For these two characters, try to aim for at least one of the recommended 2-piece sets if possible. Alright then, that should wrap it up. Simple, but hopefully effective, clearing doubts between these two characters, and also the consideration of skipping. As always, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch me on Twitch if you'd like, link in the description below. See you on the next video. Take care.